So I think it's kind of tragic today that Senator Cruz's amendment, which would have restored sanctions on the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, would have pinned Vladimir Putin's ears back, at least a little bit, would have at least been a response to Putin's bullying with 100 or 200,000 troops on the east end of Ukraine, and it lost. It lost 55-43. 6 Democrats voted with Cruz, so that was cool. Unfortunately, 1 Republican voted against it, but it did need 60 votes to pass. Anyway, let's bring in one of our favorites, Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville. Senator, Happy New Year, and thank you for doing this. Were you on the floor for the vote or milling around for the vote? Was this a surprise? I mean, to me, any sensible person would have supported Ted Cruz's amendment.
Well, exactly. And, you know, I don't know what the Democrats are afraid of, Larry. I don't know whether they're more scared of Putin or Biden. You just don't know. But, you know, I was on the floor walking around talking to people, see how things were going. But, you know, got close to 60 votes. But it's a no-brainer to me. I was in Ukraine, 3 or 4 months ago, had lunch with President Zelensky, and he said at that time, we need sanctions now. We don't need them later. You know that when they went in, Larry, to Crimea, it took, 3 days? And it's not going to take them very long once they go into Ukraine, when they do go. And that's going to happen. And so then what are we going to do? I mean, they're there to stay. Sanctions are not going to do a whole lot. So, you know, we need leadership right now. We need somebody to step up and do something and do it the right way. They've got 100,000 troops just waiting to go in. I talked to several of their generals, by the way. They fight every day across the border, back and forth. So I think they're trying to soften them up a little bit, see what happens. But it's going to be an interesting situation. President Biden needs to step up and make a decision to put sanctions on now, not later.
Yeah, should have put them on earlier. You and I talked about that. The talks this week, according to the State Department, including the Secretary Blinken, have gone nowhere. Nothing. They're talking every day in various configurations. Nothing is happening, which is a tragedy. Let me ask you, Senator Tuberville, you said you met with Zelensky. Now, I was in some bilaterals when he met with President Trump and Zelensky, but take the measure of Zelensky. What do you think you saw? Is he trustworthy? Is he an ally? How did you see that?
No, I think he's an ally. I think he's strong. You know, he's not a politician. You know, he was an actor. We talked about that. And he wins by a landslide. And the country just wanted somebody that would stand up, that would just stand up for the Ukrainians. You know, they've got a lot of Russians that live in that country, but the Russians there, they like freedom also. And so he's got the ear of everybody there. He just needs help. We need to give him help. We need to give him help now. We don't need to wait later, because if they go in, it's over. We're not going to go in and start a war. We're not going to do that. We might put sanctions on them, but why wait to that point?
That's right. Key point. I totally agree, sir. So Biden got 2 more defeats today. So maybe we'll give him a small W win on this amendment by Ted Cruz. But he lost to the Supreme Court on the mandates for private business. And Kyrsten Sinema, hit him with an uppercut and said, no messing around with the legislative filibuster, which effectively, I think, sir, kills any attempts to fiddle. They're not going to fiddle with the election reform bill or control the election bill. So, Senator, if you were suffering defeat after defeat, the Build Back Better thing looks dead. The voting thing looks dead. The filibuster thing looks dead. Your foreign policy is in a shambles. Wouldn't you want to change your game plan or your strategy or something?
Well, I've said this all along. After this, if this doesn't happen, if they can't bust the filibuster and Joe Biden gets another loss, I think you're going to see him turn into more of a moderate. He's going to have to, Larry, because if they don't, it's going to be a bloodbath come next November. The American people are sick of it. They want somebody to stand up to COVID. They want them to stand up to inflation, jobs. This country is in trouble. You know, I go to a grocery store here in town the other night. It looked like a third world country. There wasn't anything on the shelves. And that's here in Washington, D.C., and back home in Alabama, it's the same way. So people are looking for leadership. There's not enough adults in the room. I don't know where he's getting his information. on COVID. We had a hearing with Dr. Fauci the other day. I asked that. I said, we did away with Operation Warp Speed, Dr. Fauci. Who's running the show? I've never heard of the guy. He's never been on TV. I'm sure he's trying to get everybody together, but that's got to be a tough job. So we need some adults in the room. We have to have leadership. President Biden's worried about voting rights. Everybody has the right to vote already. We don't need anything else. We need to get back to the real world and start helping the American people live a normal life.
Yeah, I'm not saying this personally. I'm just saying politically and policy-wise, I think Biden needs to really clean house in the White House. I think he needs a whole different gang who will steer him in a different direction. But I want to ask you, talking about COVID, did Fauci say anything, or is he still stonewalling on the origin of COVID in China?
Well, we come up with a few emails that he had gone back and forth with in 2020 with some other scientists, and I think everybody's pretty much known that China, something happened there. We don't know how it happened or what direction it went from there, but the thing about it is, at the end of the day, we have to have China cooperate with us. I talked to the CDC director that worked with you and President Trump in the White House, and he said that they pretty much begged China to help us out. Let us come in. Let us find out what really happened, and let's get to the bottom of it. And if they'd done that, we'd have had a lot better opportunity to put possibly a stop to this a little bit earlier. But it is what it is. President Dr. Fauci said everybody's going to get it. We all know that. It's going around very fast, but we've got to learn to live with it, Larry. We've got to learn to live with this virus, get back to work, get back to school, get back to a normal economy, because if we don't, this thing's going to be so far gone, we're not going to be able to get it back even when we do take over next November.
Yeah, that's a good point. Last one, Senator. You don't have to really answer this directly, but my pal and your pal, Lindsey Graham, a great American from the South and so forth. So he was on my other pal, Sean Hannity's show last night and made some remarks. Lindsey said he can't vote for a Republican leader in the Senate, assuming we take the Senate back, which I believe we will. The cavalry's on the way. But Lindsey said basically he can't vote for a Republican leader in the Senate unless that Republican leader gets along with Donald Trump, who is the titular head of the GOP. Now, I don't know how far Lindsey went on that. As you know, it's hard to get inside Lindsey's mind anyway. He's an old friend. But what do you make of that? There's this, Trump versus McConnell. We're going to need all the ammunition we can get if we do take back the Senate, make a lot of changes. What do you think Lindsey Graham was telling us?
Well, my former job was all about team. And it's going to be the same thing, Larry. Once we get this back, once the Republicans and conservatives get this country back in our control, we're going to need everybody on the same page. We're going to need everybody aboard the ship. President Trump, if he runs and wins, we're going to need everybody in the Senate and the House on the same page. We can't be divided because we're going to be so far in the hole, it's going to take everybody on board to dig our way out of this hole. But I don't think there's any doubt President Trump can. He's like anybody else. When you're a leader, you lead by certain ways, certain examples, same way as head coaches. But the people that work under you and for you and with you, you have to communicate. And if you'll communicate, you're going to have differences. There's no doubt about that. You're going to have differences, but you can't hold grudges. You can't hold opinions once everybody makes that decision to go in one direction. I think everybody will be on board once that happens, if it does happen.
Yeah, thank you. I love that, the team play. Big Ten. I learned it from Reagan when I was a child working for Reagan 40 years ago. But President Trump knows how to work with everybody, too. Anyway, the cavalry's coming. That makes me very happy. Senator Tuberville, thank you, sir. Happy New Year.